really give a stay out the office every day.
Welcome to Out of Office, where we keep it real after work. I'm Miss Tay, here with
Jay Mills, Shot to the Real.
And last but most definitely not least, Queen V.
Well, once again, we do have two amazing special guests with us. Thank you so much for coming. So if you guys could just tell the audience your name, where you're from, and what you do.
Okay. My name is Taniqua. Everyone calls me T. I work at General Mills as a logistics analyst.
And where are you from?
Oh, I'm from South Florida. Hey.
Hey.
And my name is Ime Ibak. I work at Dorsey & Whitney. I'm a corporate attorney. I'm from California, the best coast.
Oh, you throw me west side.
I don't know it's East Coast, but okay. We got an attorney.
He said, I'm here to set you straight.
And of course, today we have the topic of all topics, social media.
Ooh, it go down in the DMs. It go down, hey. It go down, oh. It go down, oh.
I have to say, so what I want to start off with today is, do you guys think social media is more of a blessing or a curse?
Lately, it's been a curse.
Explain.
Because, so pretty much the devil is in comparison. And since I've been having a little bit more free time, I'm just looking at all these happy couples. I'm single, all these happy, successful people. I don't like my job. I don't like, fashion. Ooh, I'm broke. So for me, it's been kind of a curse as of late, but I can see how it can be a blessing. It's just my own personal use of it. So.
Okay. All right.
I think that it depends on the person. I feel like it can be a blessing, it can be a curse. I feel like we all understand that social media is a way to connect, but I feel like it's in how much you use it. For me, I can literally scroll on Instagram. I go to the explore page, I can get lost, I can start investigating, I become a whole detective, an FBI agent, and it's just like comparison as well. And you always see the highs of someone's life on social media, so you're definitely like, oh my god, like they're traveling here, she's this person, she got this channel, she got this blog, she got this, everything is just like, oh my god, social media just heightens everything. And I also feel like in the way that we communicate, I think it hurts in-person communication because we're so used to being behind a screen and talking to people that I feel like back in the day, like our parents, they didn't have that. Like you physically had to talk to someone, and I feel like now like social media has gotten in the way of that and like has made things less genuine in a certain way.
But see, I would say in that way, it's kind of a blessing in that sense because I'm able to see what you're up to on social media. Therefore, the next time I speak to you in person, we're going to have that much more to talk about because I just saw you went to Thailand, or I just saw, you know, you were in this program or in that program. So I think in terms of connecting and maximizing your connections, having better human interaction, I think it's a great tool. I think it becomes a curse when we're using it for the wrong reasons and it consumes us. So I feel like when it starts to consume me and I'm just like, dang, like I've been sitting here for like 2 hours scrolling. Like this is consuming me, like this is a curse. I think those are the moments where it becomes a curse, but other than that, I think it's a blessing. Like you can do so much on social media nowadays. So
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a blessing at a macro level in terms of galvanizing the public on any particular issue.
Big words.
I was
Go ahead. She said galvanizing.
Well, you know, you talk about situations
You
like
like corporate attorney talk.
Well, you talk about situations like Mike Brown and Ferguson. Like one of the very first places you got information about what happened was on Twitter.
Right.
It's one of the few places where government or other institutions can't filter the message that comes to you.
Now we have government actually on Twitter, so go ahead.
Right, you know, and so I think in that way it's definitely a blessing, and that it kind of cuts through, the bureaucracy or red tape or whatever. You can get straight to a message and also send out a message.
I agree with that.
That's a very good point. I don't know. I kind of feel like you're trying to say, is it a blessing or a curse? I feel like it's an option. I feel like sometimes people almost forget that. We don't have to be on social media. So when you do feel like you're wrapped up in it, cut it off. Delete your account. Take a break. Take a social media hiatus. And we forget that. So I think it is what you make it. It can be a platform. It could be an option. It could be all of those things. But it's up to you.
But if you're not on social media, you might be a psycho. Like, I don't know. If I ask somebody,
I can't find you.
Right. If you tell me it's a hiatus, I'm like, okay, we don't have to take that. But then if it's just like, oh, you just don't have it, what are you trying to hide?
No, that's real though, and that goes for me. Like, so my next question for y'all, and it may be more for the women, because I'm sure y'all men don't really get as detective as we do.
No,
but
no,
like,
but let's say it's true.
but I was gonna say, how have you guys used social media for those detective services? Like, we always talk about how Black women can be the most powerful CIA, and like you said, if somebody doesn't have a social media, I already like have a red flag up. Like, wait, why am
So
I
I
not
can't stalk you?
Right, I'm not allowed to know anything about you. I can't figure out who you are. Like, we gotta be real first. So
I need to see your last 3 girls.
I feel like I use it in a way that most women probably use it. I might use it to help a friend out. You
Right.
know, you've called me and you need me to investigate something. All right, cool. So I will, search and I'll make sure I'm not liking anything. I've had people have whole fake accounts that they use for investigative purposes.
Yes.
Like, let's really talk about what's really going on. You can find out a lot of stuff. Just search, look through the comments, look who liking the pictures. If you really want to get that, if that's the purpose for you. I don't like to do all of that, but I'm sure that we have all raised your hand if you've investigated on Instagram or.
So I haven't investigated, but I have a friend who is a Black woman who has investigated on my behalf. And I would say that y'all really are like CIA agents.
Yes.
I went to the club, met this girl, and all I had was her first name. And I told my friend about this girl, and she found it in like 5 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, how the heck did you even like begin to search that?
Right.
But so
You just
no, I definitely
Y'all
don't.
got it.
It's easy. It's very easy.
And I
It's
think
necessary.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's like, oh, okay, I need to make sure, 1, you don't have a girlfriend. 2, you don't have any friends that look a little questionable. 3, you're not in even illegal activities. And 4, that you told me you had a job. You could be either working at Target corporate or Target sales. First.
well, I say I use it. I will use it more for my guy friends, though. I'm gonna. I don't know if we can keep that comment. I hope we can. But I definitely use it more for my guy friends because it's been like that detective service is like a convenience. So say, like you said, like one of my best friends, he'll get numbers or whatever, but not even like remember the girl's name of the number, and he's like, I have this number. I'm sure she was cute when I met her, but now I have no clue who this girl is, like what she looks like, what her name is, and like for my expertise, I can go off of a number and be like, here's who you were talking
You can
to.
find somebody on social media off a number.
Girl, where you been?
Wow, y'all got really
y'all
tough.
have
No, but think about it. Like for apps like Facebook, most of those you
Are linked.
sign in through your phone number, so you can
Yeah.
search by phone number through
But-
Facebook and Twitter like that.
My thing is, like, yes, we're being investigators, but honestly, are they making it that hard? Sometimes it's really
right.
not that hard to find
Right.
information. Like, if you really just, creeping through the comments or seeing who liking the pictures or seeing who tagged them, like,
Right.
sometimes it's really that easy. It's just that obviously they don't care. They're not trying
Right.
to hide it.
Right.
So it's not that hard to find what you're looking for. So, we just doing what we do.
Right.
I feel like
But
it's natural.
dudes, I feel like dudes do that too. Cause like I've had dudes be like, so who is this one guy who commented on this? Like,
Ooh, they be chatting.
you was 57 weeks ago. Like really?
Is this someone you just met?
No, this is a while back. But I'm saying like I feel like dudes do lurk. People be lurking.
Yeah, everybody.
Dudes do lurk.
They just might not talk about it.
Right.
We'll be the ones to call it out.
Or I feel like they bring it up in a sneaky way. Whereas
Right.
they're more direct, like, who is this? Or can you answer these questions?
Right.
Or is they're like, oh, I see you had some company back when. I'm like, I didn't know you knew.
I think a lot of the time, though, if a guy notices something, he's not scrolling back. At least for me, you're not scrolling back 323 weeks to see who was some guy in some comment.
About 5 years ago?
But if a girl you're interested in has some guy putting the hard eyes on her comments, you're gonna just see that scrolling. Like, okay, well, who is this? Who is Joe 123 that's in your comments? Putting the hard eyes. Like,
I
what's
think
going
what
on?
really gets people caught up now is the whole mutual friends thing. So I know, like, especially on
That's a tool.
Instagram, right? and maybe you meet somebody new. I'm like, what? How do you know people? And then that's where that's what triggers the like, let me check, like let me see what history we have before we actually.
Or remember when Snapchat used to show your best friends? Ooh, I know people that got caught up in situationships over that.
I hated that little smiley face next to the name. It's just like you can't hide it.
Delete, block. I don't need this showing on my social media.
Well, so my next question for you guys is, do you use social media as your news outlet? And do you think that's appropriate or not?
I don't, because I just feel like it's just not a valid source, and I hate when people use it as a valid source for news. If I'm gonna use like something as a news outlet, it's gonna be like my CNN app, like my New York Times app, something like that, because this is when I really learned not to do it. It was like when Kardashian Jenkins or whatever her name was, and everybody was sure that she hadn't walked into that ICE room and like they had killed her and raped her and all this other stuff. And I'm like, the CIA, like, oh wow, Instagram is saying this, Twitter is saying this, and then we found out, wow, that's actually not what happened. And there's been so many alternative facts where I'm just like, I can't use like any social media. Like I need to use like a designated news source.
But I think social media is very good at bringing issues to light. Like it could be something I didn't even know what was going on, but the Shade Room gonna have it. Maybe Baller Alert gonna have it, and I can take that as a source to then go do further research. I feel like social media is like that first hand into knowing what's going on, and that's a good thing. But I definitely think you have to go beyond that because again, it's not always factual, but it can give you the insight.
But that's with some news outlets too, because that's how like Facebook got caught up when you're able to pull certain articles, especially around like politics and elections, where like certified news outlets can report things that are at least 80% false. So I think that's where like, yes, I definitely agree, like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, those can all not necessarily be 100% valid sources, but are our like credited news outlets also 100% valid?
Yes,
sources?
exactly. And that's what I'm thinking too. Because I feel like for me, I get my news through just my Twitter feed and I follow a lot of credible news sources. But I feel like you have to look at everything with a lens of skepticism. At the end of the day, like any article you read, anything you're scrolling on, you have to like have the discernment to be like, okay, what am I reading?
Some are more valid than others.
To who?
In this world nowadays, girl, I don't even really know what's valid because we got Donald Trump as president, if I'm being honest with you.
Jesus.
But
He's
I'm not going to get
technically a
political.
valid president, but yes.
Valid, right? So what I'm saying is like, I'm not going to get into politics, but what I'm saying is like, I feel like it's not a bad thing to use social media as your news source.
I feel that.
What do you think?
I think it's fair to look at it to see, like Jamie said, what's there, but then you need to do your additional research. And I think that's with news, with people, with dating. Like people show you the best or what they want you to see on social media. It is up to you to dive a little bit deeper and get into the details. So I don't use it as my source, but it's good to be woke a little bit. I'm like, oh, okay, this is happening, but then I move on.
Right.
Yeah, no, I agree with Vanessa. It's a good aggregating tool. So if you follow CNN, MSNBC, or even Fox, if that's what you like, but I don't personally. Washington Post, New York Times, you can just have all of their, because all of them are connected to social media anyways. So their new, upcoming articles all show up right there on your screen, and then you can just click and read it. It's more of a tool, just like people shade Wikipedia, but it can be an initial source, and then you go to the, and then you can look into it, a little bit more. So I think social media is kind of the same thing. You can use it as an initial source and then do additional research after.
Yeah, I agree.
And then to add on to that though, so if we don't feel that like social media is valid as a news outlet, why do we use that as like fact about a person, Like, so we're so ready to like, whether we see something on Instagram or even a few comments, people flirting in a comment, we're so like confident that, they're talking to each other, blah, 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 blah. But when it comes to other things, we're like, I can't trust it. So where's that balance or where's that line?
See, for social media, I don't use that as fact about a person, but I'm able to discern what is a fact. You have a kid. Now I know. But looking at but looking into the comments, I can't exactly tell like if you're talking to somebody, so I know I can limit my crazy just being like, okay, you really have to look at this with a logical eye and say, is this a fact or is this something that you might be taking too far?
Right. Are you speculating?
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, so you're looking, you're creeping. Are you gonna go to that person and have a conversation about what you saw, or are you just gonna hold on to that assumption as it is fact? Because I feel like that's what people do. Because you don't really be wanting people to know you creeping,
right.
So you just hold on like, that's what I saw. But it's like you don't really know. So I don't know. I feel like you have to really like. If you're gonna look at something you really care, you have to have the conversation about what you saw.
Right.
You just cannot hold on to that assumption because, as we said in previous episodes, social media literally is a highlight reel. So people just putting up there what they want you to see, and that could be just a vision of something that's not even really true.
Right.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. And going into that, so now that we're all fairly corporate, how comfortable do you guys feel getting really personal on your social media, where it's Instagram, or I feel like Twitter is a different ballgame where we actually get a lot more candid with that not feeling as permanent. So have you guys kind of toned that back or stayed the same or feel comfortable? What?
I use social media platforms in different ways. So with my Facebook, I use that as a way to update my family. I put all of the best of the best up there, like, yes, I just got this new job, moved to a new place, these are my accomplishments. With Instagram, it's more like, this is what it's like, Instagram is like the let me stunt app.
This is
like,
my brand.
This is my brand. Yeah, this is my brand. Snapchat, that is where you will see the true, real Jamie. And that's where I can filter out who is following me. And professionally, I don't want anybody from, obviously I don't give out like my social media to my coworkers and stuff. I just feel like that's not what you need to see. But also now, like having a platform of a YouTube channel, honestly, anybody can find me on YouTube and they see what I'm talking about, so you really know who I am now. So I feel like, I don't know, it's gotten tricky now that I'm diving into more things. I used to try to filter around it, but also I'm building a brand with 3 other people, and now my page is public and I'm on YouTube and everybody can see what I'm talking about. So it's tricky, it's a thin line. So I try to think about what I say and also always remember my brand and how I want people to see me and view me.
So I just feel like, just going off the fact of like really being conscious about my personal brand, I definitely don't use social media the way I would when I was like in high school, or even to a certain extent college, because now I know, even like, I definitely monitor who follows me and who doesn't follow me, but I'm also kind of just like, wow, like the people I call associates or friends, they work at these Fortune 500 companies, or they're working in these higher level places where it's like, I don't want to be doing questionable things on like my Snapchat, or like posting club pictures on my Instagram all the time, because it's just like, I have like an image that I really represent now. Now that I'm coming into my own, I have to protect that at all costs. So now I'm just like, you are not seeing the real me when you look into my social media. Like, you're just not. But maybe beforehand you were probably seeing little glimpses, but now it's just like, that's completely cut off.
That's right. It's like, when you look at my social media, don't even think it's me.
Basically, I'm new.
Basically, I'm fake. No, I'm
Yeah, I think one of the problems with social media is that it feels so personal. So when you're sending things out, it feels like, oh yeah, these are my friends, and you have like 1,000 some followers. It's like, you're sending it to 1,000 people. And so for Twitter, I don't have my real picture on there, and that's probably the place that I'm most loose. It's not tethered to my email or anything like that. But everything that I put on Twitter, I feel like I could still stand behind. Like, if it came out, like, oh, you said this, I'd be like, yeah, and I meant that. So, and then you have Facebook, which is more like family and friends. I have 0 work friends, quote unquote friends, on my social media accounts. I just don't want people into my personal life. I like to keep those separate. And then Instagram, I've been cutting down. I forget who told me recently, like, I guess you look cooler if you have less posts on Instagram.
You do.
I said that, so I've been like going through and like taking them down.
Everybody got a thing about Instagram.
I mean, unless you're an influencer, don't post like every other day.
Okay.
Says the fake one. Says the fake one on Instagram.
I'm just saying.
I don't know, that concept kind of bothers me, that I have to channel my social media, my brand, what I want to show based on coworkers. I feel like I see you 9 to 5, and that's the Taniqua that you see. Whatever I want to post on social media should be mine. and I represent and I stand behind whatever I post, whether it's on my blog or how transparent I want to be. And if you don't like it, then you can hit unsubscribe, but you can go to another page. And I honestly feel like if anyone at work were to question me, like, what did you mean by this? I would tell them. If they didn't like it, they don't have to come back.
So you're not scared they're gonna start, making this representation of you like in their head and just not
But then
talk
that's who
to
I
you about
am.
it?
Right.
You know, if they're like, well, Taniqua must be XYZ, correct. Taniqua is XYZ. That's what I said on my blog.
Yes.
So, if you don't like that version of Taniqua outside of work, don't interact with me outside of work. If you don't like that version of Taniqua inside of work, great, because you only have to see or work with ABC Taniqua to do whatever we need to do.
Right.
So I think that's me standing firm on who I am, and they choosing whether they want to interact.
I agree with that, because I think for me, I was more restrictive on sharing myself in the college years. Like one, going from high school to college is because you're trying to paint yourself as this perfect little girl as you're trying to get accepted to those schools. And then still in college, when you're starting to gain responsibility or do things that you're not supposed to be doing or doing things that you're not old enough to be doing, that's where that sharing thing kind of gets a little bit more restrictive. But especially now, as we're adults, like you said, I should be free to be myself. And if anybody's calling me out on being myself, then I think that's an issue in its own conversation.
Well, you guys yourselves are a little different than mine yourself, because I'm not trying to be like Elle.
And that's okay.
We're like, oh yeah, with my N words, like, oh, F all these B words.
See, no, and that's okay. I think with the coworker thing, I have coworkers that follow me on social media, but it depends on the coworker.
Right.
It depends what level of authenticity you have gotten from me. It depends how much I've opened up to you, and if I feel comfortable enough, sure, why not? Because you've seen this version of me already. So I'm just conscious about who the person is, coworker, non-HR. So for me, I feel like I've always been uber conscious of what I post from the time I was a kid, when social media was on the rise. So even now, I'm kind of I have a filter to a certain extent, but I have opened myself up more to share more of my personal life. I'm not gonna go on there and start venting about a breakup or I'm not. I feel like certain things are just not for social media. Those people that go on and just start talking about all the beef they have with this person, that to me is just childish.
It's super childish.
And so I think when social media is leveraged that way, it can be very unhealthy. But if you're just showing your highlight reel, why not?
Right.